All right, we're back. Graveyard Shift Movie Podcast, episode number 101. This week, to kick off our next round of 100 episodes, we're checking out Suspiria from 1977. Classic movie. I don't remember. I keep wanting to say they call them Argento movies, but that's not it. I don't think it's just because the guy who made the movie is David Argento or whatever. But I think they're like giallo movies or something. This is like a brand of movies, like this style with all these vibrant colors and all this. I think it might be giallo. It might be giallo movie, and it's like an Italian type thing or whatever. But I believe it's maybe the first giallo type movie I know I'm saying that wrong and
Spell it?
giallo. I don't know. Giollo.
I like how you're like, I'm saying it wrong. There's no way that's right. I can't. I'm not saying it right. I was
Yeah.
like, oh, can you spell it? Oh, yeah, it's spelled like giallo.
Giallo.
And I'm like, you just keep saying it wrong. Like, it's not. But
Um. Oh, giallo is the Italian term designating mystery fiction and thrillers. The word giallo is Italian for yellow. Oh yeah, that seems familiar. Uh, yeah, so I think it is giallo, but it's like a specific type of movie, and this is one of them. But Suspiria, Tyler. A lot of people really like this one. Uh, I thought it was all right. Uh, I'll give it a 6. I will say, I can't tell if everyone was just a really bad actor in this movie, or if it's because none of them were actually speaking English and it was all dubbed over, and so that's why their performances were so bad. But there was only maybe 2 people in this movie who I thought did a good job. So there you go. But I'll give it a 6. It was all right. Tyler, what are you gonna give this one?
I sent you a link. I want you to listen to it real fast.
I'll listen to it real fast. Okay.
It's just how to say the word.
All right. Here I go. I'll even.
Giallo,
What?
giallo, giallo.
So anyway, our first giallo movie. I whatever. I don't think anyone says it like that. That guy's just an asshole.
That video has 9 million views. Because they all want to see, hey, look how this guy messes this up.
Yeah, he says it's dumb.
So, you gave this movie a 6.
I did a little 6.
I'm gonna be honest with you. These are the type of films that I usually love,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm usually all about.
Yeah.
I don't know if it was the score, just the shitty music because the time, like how it's produced, not like the music was bad, just
Uh-huh.
how it was used or whatever.
I was about to say, how dare you?
But I just could not get into this movie.
Yeah. I could tell you didn't like this one when I said, all right, I'm starting it. And you were like 30 minutes in. And you said, enjoy yourself. And I went, ooh, he's not liking this one.
And I don't. It was all jangled up. I couldn't really tell the characters apart. The only chick that I could tell was, and this is jumping ahead a little.
Okay.
But you know the lady she rents the room for him for like an hour?
Yeah.
That one day.
Olga.
It was like super hot.
Yeah, Olga, who's in the movie for that one scene, and then you never see her again. I don't
Yeah,
think.
and she's like amazingly hot. And I'm like, oh, I can see. And this is like a 70s chick, so this is completely different. And she just vanishes. And then not in like a murdered way. She just vanishes.
Well, yeah, I don't think Olga, because Olga didn't like stay at the school or something. She like lived somewhere else. But
I don't know.
what did you give it? What were you giving this one?
I haven't decided. That's the thing. That's why I'm kind of thinking through my process right now.
Yes.
And what really bugs me is that so many people rate this movie so fucking high, and I just don't see it. And I'm like, it makes me think I missed something in it. But I'll be damned if I'm watching this again. But I'll give it a 3.
Yeah.
And the only reason I'm doing that is because the first death scene was, I thought, really well done.
I mean, it's the best part of the movie,
Yeah.
but it's the most iconic part of the movie as well. So, I mean, because it's kind of weird how they did it though. Like, I'll explain that in a second. But hey, spoiler warning, for Suspiria, we're gonna ruin everything about it. So if you've never seen it,
1977
yeah,
Suspiria.
yeah. So if you've never seen it, you've been warned. What I mean by that is like it seemed weird to me that, and I guess maybe because how they try to set it up with, when Susie or whatever pulls up to that academy, she hears the girl say something, then she runs away all crazy. Uh, and so they want to have like throughout the movie her trying to remember or figure out what that girl was saying. But it seemed weird because they went into like Susie, the main character, like arriving in Germany because she's going to this ballet class and then getting in this taxi, which I enjoyed, by the way, because she's trying to flag down this taxi in like this big ass thunderstorm. And finally, she jumps in front of this one, and the guy stops. And she's got these bags, and she's like, "Can you help me?" And the guy's just like, he's like,
I don't even know if he
"I,
acknowledges her, but yeah.
yeah, I don't know." So she has to like load all her own shit in there. And he takes her to this place, and as soon as she walks up, it's not a good sign. I mean, as soon as she walks up, a person comes out the door, is yelling inside, and then runs away all crazy. And I was like, that should be your first sign. You probably don't want to hang out here, you know? But so they spend that time showing Susie coming here, and then it cuts over to that girl randomly going to this apartment building, and they hadn't introduced you to who this is at all. You're just supposed to be like, all right, that's that girl who ran out. But, and then she's like, the next 10 minutes is focused on her. I feel like the movie should have just started with her running out of that place. And then, and then going about what happens that we'll get to. And you can show like Susie there when she's running out or something. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It felt weird to transition into her after we were with the main girl the whole time. But I don't know. But anyway, yeah, like I said, that she comes running out. She's like yelling inside, and then she goes running off. And Susie keeps hitting like the intercom button trying to get inside, and they're like, "No, you can't come in," and they just don't let her in. So she has to get like a taxi and go somewhere else. That's the other way, is because it shows her get back in the taxi, and then it as they're driving away, you see like they're driving by the woods, and you just see her like running through the woods.
Not raining though, but yeah.
Yeah. And then when it cuts over, it just cuts immediately to that lady like drying off her hair in the hotel. So at first you're like, oh, Susie's staying at this place, but it's not. It's the woman who was in the woods.
Yep.
Yeah.
I hate to say it, but I wish these folks had name tags or something, because like
I knew I knew Susie and Sarah because that lady Olga came over, and I knew Olga because Olga came over and said Susie and Sarah. Names that start with S's are snakes, and then they went.
yeah. I just assumed that was like a 70s thing. Like like they were different back then.
Yeah.
Can I say something about this movie?
Okay.
Are you shockingly surprised with the very little nudity that was in it?
I was. I don't. Was there even any in it?
No, I mean you had some like nipple shots or whatever.
I don't know if I even saw those.
It was at the pool there by the when they were like
Yeah.
a little pokey action or whatever. So.
Oh, that's not. Yeah. But yeah, this seems like one of the movies where they're in like locker rooms the whole time.
Yeah. You figure it would just be everywhere, right?
Yeah.
And I hate to say it, but I don't think sex was used at all in this movie. There was never a
Uh,
point. Well, they talked about one dude wanting to like hook up with her, but
they
like that
did.
was
That
it.
dude never comes back in the movie at all. He
This,
doesn't play any point in the movie.
this whole movie is just dog shit. I don't know. Trying to think of the way I say this politely. This might be a movie that's made specifically for women or something. Because a lot of it just seemed dumb. Like I didn't mean it like that, but
Nah,
you
that
know what I
didn't
mean.
come off good.
It's just stuff that I didn't understand. Like
Well,
I, I, I still don't get the movie, and I watched it.
I didn't understand the whole. They really didn't explain it very good, at least to me. Where I'm guessing that witch lady who's like the head witch, I guess, even though you see her twice in the movie.
Yeah,
I'm guessing that's the witch that was from the 1895 who like founded the place, and they said she died in a
yeah,
fire. And yeah,
Merca Helen or
they
whatever.
kept having all these different titles for people, and I was like, I have no idea who we're talking about at this point. Like, it just, I don't know. And then, like I said, everyone in it I felt like was terrible, except for I don't even know what her title was, but the instructor lady, who she's the one that like kicks out that blind dude because his dog bit that kid and stuff. You know who I'm talking about? And she's the one
I
who
don't know.
leads. Is that her name? Yeah.
Yeah,
She's the one who leads Susie up the stairs when that Romanian dude's coming down, and she's like, "Ah, he's quite fucking ugly, isn't he?" Like,
yeah.
she's talking shit about his teeth and stuff.
I kept waiting for that guy to speak English. By the way,
I kept waiting for him to do something, but he never does. He
he walks
look,
around with a lighter.
yeah, he looks for nothing. Ever came in that lighter either. They made that whole thing about, oh, he really likes that
Well,
lighter. You better watch
no,
out.
yeah, but jumping ahead, when she gets killed or taken or runs to her dad,
Yeah,
he sees him with the lighter later.
well,
Because
yeah, but he never
that
like,
yeah, I know. It's just supposed to show that they had something to do with her missing whatever.
yeah, I guess so. This is also one of the movies where I feel like we have this discussion sometimes about movies like this about did they give you enough context that you could figure out what was going on by yourself. I don't think they gave you any context in this movie. They just randomly, about halfway through, have it where they keep drugging Susie's food, and as she's passing out, Sarah's like, "You know anything about witches?" And you're like, "Oh, I guess this is a witch movie," you know?
I was going to tell them about how we're going to introduce a new show where we review horror TV shows instead of movies. And they were going to add it in there, and I'll be doing most of it with Thomas only making occasional visits, chiming in. So they might be differently edited. They might sound a little better because I'm going to spend money that I hate to do. And yeah, so if y'all have any suggestions, let me know. I'm thinking I'm going to do Stranger Things first, but maybe not because Tom hasn't watched them because he's a weirdo. But, it is what it is. But yeah, I don't know what to call it though because, yeah, it's really hard to bring up a title that says, "Hey, this is me reviewing TV shows along with movies." Graveyard Shift. We all used to work the graveyard shift, and we talk about scary movies. That's where that one came from. So I'm not sure how to name something that, yeah, this is to do with TV shows that I watch during the day because my life is boring. I don't know. We'll think of something. Keep an eye out. If anybody hears this and wants to suggest a name, go for it. But and it should still be on this channel and everything, so it's all one stop shopping. So, but well, I'm sure we'll get there eventually. I'm sure it'll be fun. I'm gonna share with you all my secret churros recipe. All right. In the beginning, step one: combine water, 2.5 tablespoons of sugar, some salt, 2 tablespoons of vegetable oil, and a saucepan over medium heat. Bring it to the boil and remove from the heat. stir in flour, which will be like a cup, and just keep stirring it until the mixture turns into a ball. Then you heat up your oil. You put that ball into a pastry bag, right? And you just squeeze it out, and then you just cut the end of it each time for the size of churro you want, and then you just fry it in oil. And when it's done, you pour sugar and cinnamon on it, and then you're good to go. Tom just got back, but he's muted. He doesn't realize it.
Shut up. You talking recipes?
Yeah, I gave him my famous churro recipe just now.
Anyway, what
And
were we talking
before
about?
that, I was talking about the how I'm going to start doing a podcast where I do TV shows
Oh,
to
yeah.
go along to complement our,
A
this
little compliment.
a little, just more
Yeah.
content.
What were we
And then
talking
I was
about when I left?
telling them how you're too cheap to buy me my setup, and you know how it is. Uh, talking about
Oh,
homegirl getting her food drugged.
yeah. Yeah, that was, and then they just like, there's witches, and there's never any like, they just go into, you know, I guess these people are witches. They never explain either who the hairy ass arm is, do they?
That's what I was gonna say. Yeah, I was
Yeah.
gonna ask you because I was like, I don't know.
I assumed it was gonna be that Romanian dude, but
You
he
never know.
never. Yeah, he never like. I, I don't know, but yeah, I didn't like anyone's acting in this except for that lady. I thought she was all right,
I like
Helga
the
or
hot
whatever.
chick, Olga, or I like the
Ah,
Olga.
fucking Olga dancing around with like her scissors, where she's like $50 or whatever. I was like,
I
the
don't think it
thing
was
was,
scissors. I don't know what it was.
yeah, the thing was is so everyone's speaking English in the movie, but none of their voices sound like it matched, you know? And I was like, are they not speaking like the Italian movies, people would just speak their own language and then they would dub over or whatever. But most of them, their mouth looked like it matched, like it looked like they were saying that, you know what I mean? Um and there was only a couple times, like later when she randomly runs it, she happens to ask the one guy who's a witch expert if he knows anything about witches. That old dude, and and he just dumps like a whole thing about witches to her. Um, that dude, you could tell he wasn't speaking English. Like it was clearly someone else because he was like, and it was like, "Hello, how are you?" You know, like it was clear. And then when I looked it up, it was like that guy was speaking like German, I think, and the main girl is like American, like she's speaking English the whole time, and she had no idea what that guy was saying. So doing their lines, the guy would just like tap her on the foot when he was done talking to be like, "All right, I'm done. You go now." You know,
Can I interrupt you for a second?
go ahead.
Oh, this is a main podcast too. I shouldn't be going off on tangents like this. My cousin got married like 2 weeks ago,
Mazel tov.
and I fucking kill you. And then all of their pictures and stuff,
Uh huh.
like they're holding like a can of beer and things.
Yeah, hell yeah.
And I was like,
You.
"Oh, that's our family. That's what they do."
Uh huh.
And I was like, "That's crazy." But I just saw this thing, and like, is it a thing now? Like these people I know, well, this person I know, but they like had a wedding, and they all had like beers in their hands the whole time, and they're not like classy beers either. It's like, it's like, I don't
Is
know,
it cans of beer or bottles?
cans.
Oh yeah,
Like
that's
this
just
lady
trash.
has like a Michelob Ultra, and everyone else has like fucking Keystone and stuff.
Yeah.
Like, and then every now and then you see classic white chick with the White Claw.
Yeah, it's like yeah, those are the people that are coming down the aisle to Buck Cherry. The
Crazy bitch.
yeah, yeah, that's just yeah. Um, but anyway, yeah,
All right.
none of the acting I thought was great. Which I mean, if it ends up being that where like all the people were acting, but then someone else dubs over with their own voice, then it's kind of to be expected. Which, I remember The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly does that. They have like that one dude who's like missing his legs or something, like randomly in the movie. I think maybe Tuco comes across, and the guy's talking to him, and it's clearly like the guy isn't actually saying this; it's just someone else talking.
The shopkeep's like that too. He's like, "This gun is fine," and his mouth just keeps going. And you're like,
Yeah, but yeah, I didn't. Yeah, I thought Helga was all right, and I thought the blind guy was all right for what he was worth. When he's like, "You bitch." He's like, because he's like, my dog wouldn't have bit him for no reason. So that's cool. And then he gets carried off by like a gargoyle.
I just love that scene because he was like, "I'm blind, not deaf.
Yeah,
Blind, not deaf," and he says it 9 times, and it's like, yeah, well, she's not deaf either.
yeah. Well, I think he was saying that because since he was blind, they were doing stuff around him that they shouldn't have been doing, their witchy stuff, and he was saying that he could hear what they were doing, and that's why he was like, I'm blind, not deaf. And then I think that might probably is why they end up killing him, is because he ran his mouth off and alluded to the fact that he knows what they are.
Oh, I didn't even think that. I just
Yeah.
thought,
Also, I don't know why he would allude that to them though, and then just go out to a yodeling concert later and not like flee the country.
see, that was a German. That's like a beer hall or whatever.
Uh huh.
That's where, ironically, not like Hitler, when he
Dude,
started, he would do speeches
yeah.
to places like that.
When that scene where the thing like flies down and grabs him, I'm pretty sure this is Germany, and that whole thing looked. I was like, I bet you Hitler was here. Like, I was like, I bet you Hitler did a speech here, and they were all like, doing their whole Nazi thing, them crazy guys, and yeah, that's all I could, because it was just this big empty square with these two like just buildings with these stone steps and everything.
I love that courtyard. I don't know what
Yeah,
that is. I don't know if
evil
it is.
took place there.
I don't know if it is in Germany, in fact, or not, because it's an Italian movie, right?
Yeah, but it was filmed in Germany.
Was it?
Yes, I don't know. I know that most of the people on the movie were German, so that would make me believe that they were probably in Germany.
Looking
But
it
maybe
up.
Mussolini was there or something. I don't know. Or Mario.
Hey, good. Hold on. Okay, I'm getting very different things here.
Yeah.
The majority of Suspiria was shot at De Paoli Studios in Rome, where
Hmm.
key exterior sets, including the facade of the Academy, were constructed. And then you go down here, and it has movie locations.
Uh-huh.
Suspiria film locations, the prestigious Academy of Freiburg in Germany.
Hmm. I don't know.
I have no clue. I'm hoping if I watch the new one that this old one will make a lot more sense. I doubt
I
that.
don't know. I don't remember what the new one is about. Like, I'm pretty sure it's just a kind of a straightforward remake.
Oh, if it is.
Yeah, I don't think it's like a different story. But I could be wrong. I don't know. Um. Anyway, yeah. So they Susie gets back in the taxi. She's like driving off, and she sees that lady running in the woods. And then we cut over to while she's running too, it's playing the first time you'll hear it, where it's like these drums playing, and then it's like these women in the background like like doing that. That's pretty. There's that one, and then there's another song they have that runs throughout where it's a piano, and it's a guy like, you know what I mean? Like he's just growling the whole time. I like that song too. Um, so that chick who just left the dance academy goes to stay with her friend at this hotel or apartment building. I'm not sure what it was, because I think it was meant to be an apartment, but it looked like a hotel on the outside. Um, as she walks in, she looks up at the ceiling, and there's a nice little tempered glass, like different color ceiling and shit above her. I'm sure nothing will come back with that. Uh,
Never.
yeah. Um, she goes into the bathroom to like dry off, and the bathroom window blows open, and the girl is like, "Oh." And then her friend comes in, and her friend is like, "Well, why don't you close it?"
Yeah.
That made me laugh. Um, so they just close up the window. The friend leaves again. That chick's like still drying off. But then she's obsessed with looking out the window. And the window has like this blue color tint to it. And it has these, I think they might have been towels or something, or sheets or something, but it's on a clothesline outside of the window. And it's real windy. Go
Oh,
ahead.
their pants, but yeah.
Maybe. It's real windy and shit. It's flapping around. And she's upset. Like, she's doing the thing I hate, where they're like putting their face right up to the glass and stuff. And she can't see anything. And eventually she grabs like a lamp that's on the table next to her and is holding the lamp with like the bulb facing out. But I saw that, and Tyler, wouldn't that just like reflect more back to you? Like, you wouldn't be able to
Yeah.
see out clearer. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Uh,
100%.
yeah. So she's shining out, and eventually she sees two big yellow eyes light up behind the sheet. And she's like, huh? And then a big ass hairy arm busts through the window and grabs her and smushes her face up against the window, and smushes her face real good. Like, you keep seeing it like just pressing further and further in and stuff. Um, her friend hears this happening, so she goes running. She tries to get in first, and she can't. So then she goes running out of the apartment to different people's doors, and she's banging on them, and she's like, "Murderer! There's a murderer!" Meanwhile, the arm smashes that girl's face through the window and pulls her up onto the roof, where uh, he or she or whatever this is just starts stabbing her over and over again with like this knife. Um, until eventually she falls down on the glass roof that she saw when she went in, and the guy gets on top of her and like stabs her again, and then starts to wrap. What type of cable is this? It's like attached to the
Oh,
roof somehow.
telephone cable, maybe?
Maybe, but yeah, it's running along the roof, and he takes it and wraps it around her, and then he goes to stab her one more time, and I guess he stabbed her so much previously that it has exposed her heart in her chest, and so you see him like through her heart, and
It shows it too.
it shows it, and then the heart stops, and there's like that little, like, you see the blood coming out of the heart or whatever. It looked cool. Um, and that kills her, and the friend is below her, like still yelling that there's a murderer. And then I get it's a real weird effect because I guess the glass just gives in to the weight, but her head falls through first, so it looks like the glass is sucking her in, like it's like a space movie, and the vacuum seal thing just opened up, and her head falls through, and then eventually her whole body falls through, and the wire that's been wrapped around her comes up her body and wraps around her neck and hangs her as she falls. And we see her all bloody and hanging there dead. And then we pan down and we see that her friend has been impaled by pieces of glass, and her face is like severed with one big ass piece of glass. But that's probably. Go ahead.
I was like, do yourself a favor, just turn the movie off now.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the most iconic part of the movie, and that's the best part of the movie. So, yeah, that's always fun when the best part is what, 10 minutes in, you know? Um, the next morning, Susie is able to get into the academy this time. This is when we first see, I think his name is Derek. He's the blind guy with a dog. Um,
Daniel.
Daniel, shout out to Daniel. she comes in. We meet Helga for the first time. Helga's like, "You were supposed to be here last night," and she's like, "Well, I was here, but the person over the intercom wouldn't let me in, and it was raining and all this shit." And so Helga's like, "All right, well, you're here now. Just come with me." Also, she introduces her to who is this lady? Is this like the headmaster of the school? This other lady?
Yeah, the other lady. Well, the real headmaster is the one who's abroad,
Yeah.
but this is the lady in charge when that lady's not here.
Okay. Um. Yeah, and she introduces her to that lady, and they like introduce themselves and stuff. And then she leads her upstairs to the lockers. And as they're going up, that Romanian dude, who I don't remember his name, which is surprising because they kept saying it every time he was on screen, but I could not remember it. We're introduced to, I'll just call him the Romanian, I guess. The Romanian dude for the first time. And this is like I said, where the Helga's like, yeah, look at him. Quite fucking ugly, isn't he? And she's like, you can say it. He doesn't speak any English and shit. And she like makes fun of his teeth. He's got these big ass buck teeth because he had like a gum infection and he had to get like these new teeth, and it's all the shit. And basically he's just he had a name, but he's just a servant around here. But I think they call him the handyman. That's what they
General handyman.
Yeah. So she takes her to the locker room where she's introduced to all the other dance students. This is when we're introduced to Olga, who comes over to Susie, and she's like, "I hear you're going to be renting a room from me." And Susie's like, "Yeah, And she's like, $50 every month. People in this movie are obsessed with money and like $50. And they say it like that guy later is like, which is her, their main concern is their riches and stuff, But yeah, they're upset, and it's always $50. Like Susie needs a pair of dance shoes for the day, and Leia's like, "Here, you can buy mine. $50, you can have them." And it's just, it's very, it's weird.
She said 15.
Um.
So,
yeah.
just so you know, according to the USA inflation conversion table,
Uh-huh.
$50 in 1970 is when this movie came out, right?
Yeah.
Can you guess how much money that is in today's?
Now, is it $50 in Italian or $50 in American?
Doesn't matter, because it's going up regardless.
Imagine it's like 300.
345.61.
So there you go. That's not bad rent.
Imagine if you wanted to spend the night at my house, and I went, "Yo, I got you." But
yeah, I need $400. And I'm like, "Well, are you gonna cook for me or something?" You're like, "No, you can have the closet." It's like, yeah, that's inflation's a bitch. Well, I guess it's not even, that's back then that was expensive. Also here, Susie sits down next to Sarah, who will be like her main friend throughout the movie, and Sarah kind of turns into the main character for a while, like because they keep drugging Susie, so Sarah would be the only one awake during the night. Jesus Christ! I swear to God, Tyler, I don't know if it's because I don't talk to anyone during the day really, and then we get here and I'm just talking nonstop, and that's why my voice can't handle it. And it's just like, I sound like a fucking puppy. But goddamn, the voice breaks. I swear, people, I'm a man. I'm a man.
not much of a man.
Yeah.
You just agree, like, yeah.
Yeah, so Susie and Sarah get acquainted. This is when Olga comes over and does the Susie and Sarah. 2 names start with S's. You must be snakes. And they start doing like, and so that's cool. Also, I forgot to say it at the beginning of this movie, or at the episode. Shout out to Tubi TV, by the way. This movie was not available anywhere else. It was only available on Tubi TV. So I downloaded Tubi TV. Tubi TV, Tyler, just straight up free. It's got some ads in there, but you don't even have to make an account. I was just a guest. I just went on there. So shout out to Tubi TV. Give us a sponsor. I'll read some Tubi TV ads. I don't know if you're technically supposed to ask for the sponsor. You know what I mean? Like, but hey, give us some money, read some ads. Um, yeah. So also, that's how that scene ends. Like, it cuts from them doing the tongue things just straight over to like Susie in a different part of the academy. Um, what is this? Oh, is this? Who is Susie talking to at night? Is she talking to Olga that night where they're talking about the girl who died? And was it Olga who was talking about how that girl always caused arguments and she was like real wild and shit?
Yeah, because that's the house she was in.
Yeah, like, and it looked like, because she had the black hair and Olga had black hair, but it didn't sound like the same lady. So that's why I was like, is this Olga or is this like a different lady? But I think it was Olga. But yeah, according to Olga, that girl who was murdered last night was like a troublemaker, and she kept causing arguments with people and all this shit. And this is the first time that Susie mentions that, she's like, well, I saw her when she was leaving because I was trying to get in, and she mentioned something. It was about like secrets and irises or something. That's all I could gather from it. And then later, guys, spoiler, apparently she heard every fucking thing that lady said crystal clear, and she just had to like unlock that portion of her brain, which I thought was a little silly. This whole movie, she's like, I don't know what she said. And then she's like, oh, I got it. She like has a flashback and knows perfectly. Yeah, next day, we're dancing. It's a dance academy. Yep. That's, what we do. At some point in here, I think it's already happened, Susie runs into that guy and they kind of flirt back and forth. I will not mention him from this point on because he is useless. There's no point in him in the movie. He's just kind of around. So I hope you didn't come here to listen to me talk about that guy. They get done dancing for the day, and Susie goes walking or no, I guess Susie is arriving to the dance, and as she is, she's walking down the hall, and we see this old crusty bitch who kind of looks like Principal Trunchbull, or Trunchbull, was that her name? From Matilda,
I have no. I didn't watch Matilda.
You're not a big Matilda fan?
What?
Wow.
What would make you think I was a Matilda fan?
Well, Matilda's a classic, Tyler.
I'm a Caroline fan. Does that count?
No. Danny DeVito.
Say it again. Just say
Danny DeVito. Frank Reynolds. And then the teacher lady was somebody too. I can't remember. She was in an Adam Sandler movie, I think. Or no, you want to know who the teacher lady was? She was all right. The teacher lady was that lady in 13 Ghosts who, like, the twist is that her boyfriend at the beginning who died, she betrayed him, and then like the bad guy in that movie betrays her, and she gets like sliced by that, or she gets crushed in between those walls, remember? And it looks really shitty. So Susan so Susie comes across this mean old crusty looking bitch, like I said, and this little kid who's like standing next to her, and the little kid's like death glaring her. And the lady is holding like, what was this, like a piece of glass that she was holding?
I think she was polishing silver.
Maybe, but it was reflecting sun or light or something, and Susie just keeps staring at her. I don't know why she was staring at her so much. It's kind of rude. So the chick, to like punish, she shines the light in her eye. And somehow, I guess, this starts like a spell of some sort over Susie. Because she gets to the dance class, and Helga's there, and it's the first time they've worked together, and so Helga's like, I want to see, how far along you are. Which is funny because the second that Susie gets there, Helga's like, we don't teach anyone to dance here. We assume you already know how. And then like immediately they're like, all right, it's dance class time. We're learning, like.
Oh, this is like a finishing school, so like
Yeah,
you should already know how to dance. You're just learning the
yeah,
more exquisite stuff.
yeah. Um, and so they're doing like this according to Helga. She's like, oh, this is a simple step. We can do this. So Susie tries, but the whole time she's like, I can't. I'm too weak, and she's like kind of falling over almost. And eventually she just gets in the middle of the dance floor and she just like spinning herself. And then she just falls out, and everyone like stops and looks at her, and we see like she's bleeding from her nose and her mouth and shit.
Reddest blood I've ever seen.
It looks like paint. This whole
It does.
movie. Yeah. I spit on my screen at one point when we were talking. Let me go ahead and let me wipe that off, guys.
Hey, have you seen Black Swan?
No, I never watched it.
I wonder if it's just the same movie again.
I don't know if there's witches in that movie though. Even though I think there
think
is like a supernatural element to that, isn't there?
I don't know. I always assumed it was just like women being catty towards each other,
Yeah,
like
but
cutthroat. But
I don't think there. I remember that movie. I think it's weird. I think like I don't know. I think there's some lesbian stuff, and I think maybe like I don't know. Maybe I think here maybe it was like a movie that was like a metaphor for suicide or something. Like it was. I don't know. I never watched it though. So, you know. But yeah, I did in my mind. I was like, oh, this is kind of like Black Swan, even though I've never seen. I just know Black Swan. They're like dancing. So Um. Also, when she went to that class, we learned that blind dude is the piano player for the school. So that's pretty cool. Um. They take her up to a room in the academy now and basically force her to move in, because the thing was she wasn't staying in the academy, she was staying with Olga. And now they like forcefully just moved all her stuff while she was passed out, so when she wakes up they're like, well, you'll just stay here, which doesn't really make any sense to me,
I
because later, they're like, she must die and all this stuff. And it's like,
just
well, if
okay.
she wasn't staying there, she would have had you rip ass, nice. Um, if she wasn't staying if she wasn't staying there, she would have had no involvement with this. But they forced her to move in.
I think there's something we're missing in translation to where they needed her for a spell or something. Because that's the
Yeah,
only thing I could
yeah, but
think
I don't
of.
even know what their goal was throughout the whole movie. Like, they were just being witches. I
You're right. I mean, 100%. Like, we have no clue what their
Yeah.
goal was,
It
what they
wasn't
were
like,
doing,
you
what
know,
the agenda is.
yeah, it wasn't like they were doing like a thing where, like, let's say the main witch lady who started the school, they could have a thing where, like, because her body, we see a glimpse and she's all like, she's blackened and she's, a nasty little witch lady. So you could have a thing where maybe she's looking for a new host, and they put one of them classic, we're going to take your body and she's going to be in your body. And so now the greatest witch who ever lived will, but there's none of that. There's just kind of witches.
And you get, I mean, I'm skipping ahead. I don't know why we do these full scene by scene reviews of movies.
It's nice.
It is. It's not bad.
Yeah.
You don't have to watch the movie then if you. But go ahead. I'll talk about it later.
Well, were you going to say how, because I'm like, all you get is witches, but you don't, because you get maybe 2 scenes of witches?
I was gonna say you don't even know there's witches in the movie
Yeah.
until like the last 20 minutes.
Like I said, literally, they had just have the scene where Sarah's like, you know anything about witches? It's like, oh, I
Yeah.
guess it's a witch movie. Yeah,
Well, when she gets blinded in the eye, the lady goes, "A witch" or something.
yeah, I yeah, but you never see. You see when the blind dude is walking home, you see a shadow in front of a building, and it kind of looks like a witch on a broomstick. Um, but you never see who actually grabs him, and then you see the main witch at the end. Those are the only two witches, and because there's a zombie in this movie, kinda. We'll get
Yeah.
to that. The zombie, you know what? I said that the kill at the beginning was probably the second best part was probably that zombie. When that lady opens up that door and you see her for the first time, it legitimately was kind of creepy when you see her. And she had like the blood coming out of her mouth and shit. That was cool. I wish the rest of the movie could have been like that, and they didn't throw in that. I mean, she pops up, and then a lady like ends the movie right afterwards. You know. But yeah, not that many witches in the witch movie. Um,
Not a whole lot of anything in the witch movie.
yeah. So they move this lady in. They just force her to live here. Once again, not sure why.
But
Um,
like, think about it. If say I was over at your place, right,
uh huh.
and I stroked out or whatever you
Yeah.
want to call, fainted, whatever,
Yeah.
and then you took me somewhere where I had to lay in bed for 3 days.
Uh huh.
If you brought my stuff, I
Yeah.
would be ecstatic. I was like, "Thanks, I appreciate it." And she was
Yeah.
like, "Why? Why would they
Yeah.
bring my things?" And it's like, "Cause you're gonna fucking need them. Like you're
Yeah.
here." But I get it. I mean, you're supposed to read into it and be like, "Oh, they wanted her there," blah blah
Yeah.
blah. But it's like if you're gonna be there extended amount of time, then
Mm-hmm. Well, her thing too was she was like, I feel great. I feel fine. You know, which I guess most people when they wake up are like, I feel great. I feel fine. Maybe. Um, as she's there, this is when that Romanian dude brings in like her food, and he eyeballs that Zippo lighter for the first time, and the lighter has like a clock on the side of it. And Susie tells Sarah, she's like, "You better watch out for that watch. He seems to like it." Um, but they also do the classic. They gotta show that Susie's like a nice girl because she's like, "Thank you, fucking Philip or whatever your name is," to the Romanian dude. She's like nice to him. Um, After Sarah leaves, Susie is brushing her hair, and as she's brushing it with like this comb or whatever, she feels like something, and she's like, "What is it?" And she pulls out, and there's a maggot in her hair, and she's like, "Oh!" And she throws it, and then she looks at her comb, and there's maggots in her comb, and she's like, "Oh!" And then she looks up, and it zooms up to the roof, and it plays like this, wow, wow, this like crazy sound effect, and there's a bunch of maggots on the roof. And it turns out it's in everyone's roof, which I thought was uh, not wild, but I thought was cool, I guess. Because usually in movies like this, you'll be like, "Oh, it happens to be this one girl's room," but it ended up being the whole school. And it was like, "Oh, okay." So all the students are freaking out because like maggots are landing on their face and shit. Um, the instructor lady, Helga, goes up to the attic to find out what's causing the maggots, and I guess it's like some rotted sausage.
I
Like
couldn't tell what it was. I
I
didn't know if it
couldn't.
was sausage or potatoes.
I assumed it was sausage because Germany, but yeah, it was just like rotted food. I was expecting them to find a body or something, but it was just food. Thinking back to it, why the fuck was that maggot scene in the movie? Because then the rest of the movie, they never mentioned the
So,
mag. It's just to get them in that room where everyone's sleeping together, so that the chick can hear that lady snores.
and then remember it from before.
Yeah.
Yeah, 100%.
All right. Um. Yeah. So like I said, that whole floor is infested with maggots now. So they move everyone into like the main dance hall or something. I wanted to call it a gym, but it wasn't a gym. I don't think. Uh, but they have everyone's cot set up, and they're like, "Oh, we're all gonna sleep in here tonight," And everyone's kind of like, "Oh, it's like we're camping out. It's like a sleepover and all this shit." And the teachers and stuff are staying too. Which once again doesn't make sense to me because that lady has a line where she's like, "Yeah, the teachers leave every night at 9:30 after supper on clockwork," you know, and so it's like if they had the illusion that they don't stay at the school, then why would they stay the night now? You know, even though it's not like anyone needs to be there, but I don't know. So to separate the students and the teachers, they have this big long sheet, uh, and they turn out the lights, and I guess they just have like red lamp lights. I don't know where does red tent light come from?
I don't know. They did this whole thing where there was like the shadows behind it and stuff, and it
Silhouettes.
for no fucking reason.
It didn't go anywhere. I was thinking we were gonna see like someone turn into something or something behind it, but yeah, you don't see any of that. Instead, we see that behind Susie and Sarah, this lady gets in the bed behind them, and she starts making these weird snoring sounds. And it's weird enough that Sarah leans over to Susie and and she's like, "Do you hear that?" And Susie's like, "Yeah." And Sarah says that is the snores of the real headmaster that's abroad or whatever. And she's like, "They lied to us. They said she wasn't here, but I know those snores because apparently she snuck into like uh, an upstairs room or something, and she heard the same snores from.
No,
Or no, it was yeah,
she was staying upstairs in the guest room, and
yeah,
then they put that lady next to her or something.
yeah. And then someone told her that she slept in that room for a couple hours while you were in there or whatever. So that's how she knew it was that late snores. And then when she looks over, they see the silhouette of her like laying in bed, and so Sarah's like, she's right there, you know. And so yeah, that's how that with this like, well, why are they lying about this lady not being here? The next morning, Sarah asked Helga if that lady stopped by last night, and Helga's like, no, she wasn't around, you know. Um, Outside, Daniel, the blind guy, shows up with his dog, and he ties his dog up outside. And then that ugly, and then and then that
Uh,
and then that crusty bitch and the little kid come walking up, and they're like eyeballing the dog, and it cuts away before we see anything happen. And we go over to the dance studio where everyone's dancing and Daniel's playing piano. And Helga comes walking in and straight to Daniel and starts yelling at him that his dog bit the little kid outside. And she's like, I never want to see that mutt again. And if I see him around here, I'll kill him and all this shit. But Daniel isn't about to let her shit talk his dog. So he's like, nah, my dog's friendly as fuck. He would never bite someone. That kid must have did something to get bit, you know?
it was super creepy though.
Yeah, he's like staring at people all the time and shit. And his ugly little bowl cut.
He didn't say anything, and he was just like following orders all the time.
Yeah. Um, what was it? Was he later, spoiler, when we see the group of them like dying, was he part of them?
No,
Okay. So we don't know what happened to him. He's just around.
he's one of the witches. Remember, he was in the room with the witches.
Yeah, but you don't see him dying.
Well, you see all of them dying, don't you? If the house is on fire.
I guess. But yeah. Um yeah, so he stands up for the dog. They're like, nah, he get the dog out here. And then he's like, she's like, I don't ever want to see him around here. And he's like, well, you're never going to see me around here because I'm leaving or something. So then she picks up his cane and throws it. And he's like, okay, okay. That's when he does the you bitch. And he like goes walking over and he finds his cane on the ground. And that's when he says the line that, just remember, I'm blind, not deaf, not deaf. And he's laughing and stuff. And like I said, I think that's him, saying that he knows what's going on because he heard them when they didn't think he was a threat. Also, the way that guy used the cane, and I'm not a connoisseur on how blind people use canes, but did it seem like that guy was using his cane right? He was just like holding it forward the whole time.
I don't know when like the tippity tappity came
Yeah.
about, like the long one.
Uh-huh.
So,
I don't know. Uh,
but
it,
yeah, it seemed like he didn't know what he was doing.
yeah. That night, we see Susie once again. The Romanian dude brings in her food, and this is the first time she mentions like, how many times do I got to eat like this, you know? And we see her drinking this real deep red type drink, deep red, dark red, type drink, and she's drinking that. And then Sarah comes into her room and is talking to her, and she's talking about how they're about to leave. It's 9:30. The teachers, and they listen to them as they're leaving, and Sarah says that well, they're not leaving because the door is to the left, but their footsteps are going to the right. And then Sarah is like, "How did I never notice?" And I was kind of like, "Yeah, how did you never notice? How long were you at the school and you never like were like, oh hey, they're walking the complete opposite direction of where the door is." Um, but so Susie is like, they're going somewhere inside the school, you know. As she's saying this though, she's like got her eyes sort of closed and stuff, and she's very tired. And throughout the movie, will sort of every time she's eating this food, she gets drowsy and she'll pass out. So they're drugging her with something. Um, or I thought like they were gonna like. Also, later it does the thing where she like throws the food in the toilet and she like uh pours the thing down the drain. And that drink looked like straight up blood, right? I mean, to the point it
Yeah,
sticks to the side of the sink and she has to wash it off. Like, how is she drinking that stuff?
it was
So
longing for something. Maybe.
I get yeah. So Susie can't stay awake, so she falls asleep. So Sarah decides that she's going to count the footsteps to see where they go, and she'll trace them back later to find out where they're going. So she counts their footsteps as they're walking off into the school. We cut over to the blind guy who's inside this bar, and he's watching this yodeling band play. I liked it because everyone was all hype, and then you look in the background, and there's a bass player, and he's just going like no smile on his face. He's just flicking two fingers on his bass, um, and he gets done with his party, I guess, and he starts to walk home with his dog. They get into this big ass courtyard area with these two giant buildings. Like I said, it looks like Hitler was here making a speech. And the dog starts freaking out. It's going in circles. It's like barking in all directions. And the guy at first is like, come on, what are you doing? You know, but then eventually he's like, all right, who's there? You know? Uh, and so then finally it zooms up to this gargoyle statue. Bless you. This
Or the,
gargoyle statue. What?
the cough. But yeah,
Oh, well, this
loser.
that's what you get for blessing me.
Mm.
This gargoyle statue on top of one of the buildings, and then it cuts away, and we see the shadow of something flying. And like I said, it kind of looks like a witch on a broom or something. Uh, but I guess it could have been like, something else flying. Um, I just realized, I said a minute ago you never see what.
You okay?
I said how like we never see what flies him off, and then in this moment I just realized, oh yeah, nothing ever comes down and flies at him. He just something flies over him apparently, but then it just gets quiet and the dog calms down, and then the dog just jumps on him on his neck and
Yeah.
chews out his neck. Yeah, and so that guy doesn't even get killed by the witch. Well, presumably the witch has put some spell on the dog. Um, but yeah, his dog jumps on him and grabs him on the neck and just eats out his neck. And then we see the cops running over, and the dog has to be like, oh shit, and he's on the run, and he runs off. So We never see that dog die in the movie. Shout out to that. Every time you see a dog when we do movies like this, I'm like, he's dead. But that one lived. So that's pretty cool.
Oh, that was a sneeze. Just in case you were wondering.
Notice how I didn't, bless you.
Oh!
Yeah. The next morning, Susie hears that dude was killed. That his dog, killed him or whatever. And so she's like, oh, something's weird here. Susie then goes and has a meeting with the headmaster lady who's, the headmaster that they talk to. And she tells them, or she's asking, has the police found who murdered that girl that night? And she's like, no, but they have some leads. And Susie's like, well, did I tell you that I saw her the night she was killed? And the lady's like, yeah. And Susie's like, well, did I tell you that she was saying something? And she's like, no, you didn't. What did she say? And so she's like, well, all I can make out is she said something about secrets and irises. And the lady's like, oh, well, we must tell the police right away. And she picks up the phone, and I guess, because they zoom in, and then her one eye is bloodshot, and the other one's good. And I don't know if that was on purpose, like her eye was supposed to be bloodshot for a reason, or if that was just how she was that day, and like her eyes were just bloodshot. But yeah, that's how that movie, or that scene ends. And then right after that, Sarah tells Susie that she's kind of fucked her over because apparently she was best friends with that girl who was murdered. And that girl and her were hanging out all the time. And that girl was telling her that she found out the secrets to all this stuff. And she was, that night she was talking to her, yelling that stuff. But she got scared and ran away. And she was the voice on the intercom that wouldn't let Susie in that night. So she's she's convinced that now that they know that that girl was telling someone, she knew these secrets, that they're going to end up coming for her. Meanwhile, Susie is zoinked out on whatever these drugs are that are in her food. So she's still like passing out again. So Sarah's all on her own. And it starts to kind of storm outside again. We hear some kids that are giggling. And then we hear some doors opening. Sarah cuts the lights to the room, so I guess maybe it hides her better or something. And then there's this one door that has this light that comes on above it or something. And I'm not sure where it comes from or where it goes. Cotton Eye Joe. But it comes on, and so Sarah knows that someone's about to come in through that door. So she runs out. She leaves the room. And then we get a first person where someone does come in through that door and like goes over and looks at Susie on the bed. But it doesn't end up doing anything to Susie because they're after Sarah. Then where does Sarah... I thought she went in the attic, but I think she didn't. Do you have any idea where she was in this house? The house layout seemed very confusing to me when this lady was running around.
No clue. Yeah,
Yeah, because she kept going up. And so I thought she was in the attic. But then, because then right after that, she opens up like this closet. And what is it? Is it a rat or a bat that scares her or something?
I mean, it's a bat in the end, but I don't know what it is.
Yeah, but there was something else here. I think it was a rat, but I'm not sure. But she freaks out and just throws herself into these mirrors or this glass, and she cuts herself all up. And then she sees someone coming out of that room where the rat is, so she goes and locks herself in the next room. But the lock is like a hatch type lock. And so the person on the other side, you get a shot where she's like at the door and she sees like next to her face like this thing come in. That's not a knife. It's just like a little thing the guy's using to like lift the hatch. And then instead of her like trying to take something and like knock the thing down, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
She just like is like gives up at that point. And she goes in the corner and she's like crying and shit while this guy can't get the... He just keeps trying to get the lever. And eventually she looks over and sees like a window that I thought led to the roof. I thought she was going to wind up on the roof because it was like that square type window that you
Yeah.
see that, yeah. So she gets like, there's like a trunk and there's some other shit that she just starts stacking to stand on top of. And she opens it up and gets it, goes through. The guy's still trying to get in. And she goes through and she sees like on the other side there's like a door leading to like another room, and she's like, cool. And then I guess she just doesn't bother looking at the floor because she either takes a step or just jumps down and just lands in a room full of barbed wire that I guess they just had for this instant in case anyone ever came up here. Yeah, and I say barbed wire. It might have been supposed to be razor wire, but if you look at it, there clearly is no wire on any of it, or no razor or barb. But I did read apparently that stuff was really painful because the wires just kept like digging around her skin and stuff. So like, even though it didn't have anything, she was like, "Yeah, that scene fucked me up." So she's in this barbed wire room. The Jigsaw came from the future and set up this room, and she's trying to get out to get to the other side, but eventually a hand just reaches out and grabs her face, and then we get a close-up shot of a knife cutting like the side of a pig, but I guess it's supposed to be like her throat or something, and so yeah, that lady's dead. So R.I.P. Sarah. Were you sad when Sarah died?
No.
I wasn't either.
I mean, I hate. I don't know how I should phrase this, but like, I cared about no one in this whole thing.
Yeah. I
He's the
like
main
Daniel
character
the most
because,
out of anybody.
you know, Daniel, who's the
The
blind
blind guy, yeah.
But like everyone else, I was just like, what? Why do I care about this person?
Yeah.
I don't even know the main character. Like, anyways,
She's a dancer from America, Tyler.
that's all we know.
Yeah, we don't know about family or, it's just.
We knew that her aunt was a Patreon, whatever. She
Yeah.
supported the arts back in New York or whatever.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's all we knew.
So, Sarah dies. And then Susie, I guess, who does she call? Because
She calls that dude she met.
the dancer?
No, the
Oh,
guy.
okay.
Remember, she had the friend that she gave notes to, who was in town for a convention.
No. That didn't ring any bells.
So she goes and she meets this guy, and
Okay.
he's there for a convention, and I think that this might happen. Does this happen after or before? But he says that she has a history of having a mental break.
That's after she calls him. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm thinking she calls him on the phone, and because homegirl had his phone number, or whatever.
Yeah.
There's a part
Okay.
that I missed in this,
Yeah.
and I was hoping you could tell me.
Okay.
And I thought to bring it up before.
All right.
So, and we've already passed it, and I'm just
Okay.
a dummy.
All right.
And, too busy looking at microphones to pay attention.
Yeah.
Not really. Really. There's a part where the main girl, Sarah, is just like drugged and falling asleep, right? And Susie's trying to show her a picture
No.
because they stole all her notes.
Susie, the main girl.
Well, vice versa.
Yeah.
But Sarah trying to show her a picture
Yeah.
of like everything because they stole her notes, and all she had left was this picture.
Uh-huh.
Did you ever see what the picture was?
No. I don't think she just kept trying to show it, but the girl kept falling asleep. I don't think they ever show you.
Never mind then. Keep going.
Okay.
So fucking bad at this movie.
um,
I waited so long. I've been wanting to watch this movie for like a year at least.
yeah. Yeah. Yeah, she calls this guy And the thing is, because the guy's a psychiatrist, but she doesn't know he's a psychiatrist. Because when they meet up, he's like, "Do you know I'm a psychiatrist?" And she's like, "No." So I don't remember why she called him, but I guess it's because he knew Susie somehow. And so, or Sarah somehow. You got me doing it, you fucker. Um, so
Don't look at me. I didn't even know the dude's name. You know.
yeah. So yeah, he tells her that Sarah was one of his patients, and that she's talked about all these conspiracies and these witches, and she had this theory. And he tells her about this witch, who they say her name, but I don't remember it. But I do know they call her the Black Queen.
Yeah.
And
That's why I was wondering if Black Swan was
okay.
this type of thing.
And apparently she's the one who founded, it wasn't a dance academy at the time, but it was like that same building in that same place. But she's the one who founded it in 1895. And then in 1905, she was supposedly killed in a fire. But, he's like, yes, Sarah thought some weird stuff was going on. Which is weird because Sarah never mentioned that she thought weird stuff was going on. Even after her best friend was murdered, So I guess maybe because she went through all this psychiatrist shit, so she just thought maybe she was crazy. So she's like, no, I can't talk about that because it's not real, But she never mentions it until that point, that last night that she's alive, where she's like, do you know anything about witches? And yeah. So Susie leaves that guy, and then she runs into this random old dude right next to him that she just so happens to ask about witches. She's like, you know anything about witches? And this guy just happens to be the expert on witches. He has everything that she could ever want to know.
He just says something of he's like, I am the expert on witches,
Just had the one guy there. He knew everything there was to know about witches.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so he just lists a bunch of shit. Gonna be honest, I don't think any of it really matters what he says. He's just telling you witch facts, I guess. Susie gets back to the academy, but everyone's gone. Turns out they're at some theater watching some new production of something. Susie's like, well, why didn't anyone ever tell me? And that crusty bitch is like, well, she was supposed to have a ticket for everybody, So Susie thinks something's up. So she goes and tries to call that guy again, I think. But the phone isn't working. And then it starts to storm outside again, and the power starts going out. So she just gives up on that. She takes her food that they keep giving her, and she finally throws it down the toilet and drains out that drink. I assume she finally is realizing that's what keeps making her pass out at night. She goes into, I don't think it's her bedroom. Or no, maybe it is her bedroom. And she turns out the lights in her bedroom. And then she sees these two, red eyes that keep, pulsating in her, glass drawer dresser type thing. And she opens it up, and she doesn't see the red anymore. And then a fucking bat comes out and just starts piecing her up. Really fake looking bat, but that's pretty cool. And it's just biting her on the neck and shit. And eventually she throws it down, and then the bat, instead of flying at her again, just starts walking at her all menacingly. And so she picks up a towel and puts it over the bat, and then takes a stool and beats the bat to death under the towel. Susie then decides that she's going to do the step counting thing because she hears the teachers going, it's 9:30. She hears them moving again. So she starts counting their steps. She retraces it all the way until she finds this room with carpet. And she realizes that's why the steps must stop here. But she's like, there's got to be somewhere else around here because it's just a room and no one's in here. So she's like, there's got to be something. Meanwhile, right behind her, there's the most obvious looking trap door type thing you've ever seen in your life. That the whole time I'm like, the door's right there. The door's right there. You
don't know.
Yeah. Now, to be fair, maybe this is because in the 70s, the picture wasn't as great. You're not supposed to watch this movie in HD. But it was very obvious where the trap door was. Um, and so she's trying to figure out where to go, and then this is when she just has an epiphany, and she realizes that all of a sudden she could hear perfectly what that lady said, and that lady said that uh, there's all you should see what I saw, and go in this room and turn the blue iris on the wall or whatever, and it'll open up like a passage. So she goes over there, and there's a blue iris thing on the wall. It's a flower type thing. And she turns it. It opens up the door. And she follows it in. There's this long ass hallway that it's like 3 minutes of her just walking down this hall. And I get it's supposed to be like, oh, where's this going? But I was like, can we get on with it? Like, we just kept walking down this hall forever, it seemed like. But she follows it all the way until she sees all the teachers and the headmaster in the middle. And the headmaster is like, we must do something with that American bitch. She must vanish, vanish, die, die. It was
But
so...
then in between everything she said, she was like snacking.
Yeah.
She was like, I gotta get a little bit more of that, them finger sandwiches.
Yeah. She goes, sickness, death. It was so bad, dude. I was like, what is this? I think because the little kid is hanging out there, that creepy little kid, and I think he might see her move or something, because he leans over to the Romanian dude and sort of points in the direction of where he is. So he goes walking over there with the lighter, and he's like looking for her. She jumps in the room that's next to her to avoid him finding her. But it just so happens, Tyler, to be the room of the Black Queen. And she's over there. Yeah, she's over there snoring behind her little curtain. And the lady is like, oh shit. So she's like, I gotta get out of here. But as she tries to go get out, she sees the Romanian dude still walking around. So she's like, fuck. So she closes the door, backs back in, and hits like this stack of these big iron balls. Like, I don't know what these... I assume they refer to a game of some sort.
I don't know. I think it was just weird art. Like, that's what they did in the 70s. Like, just like that peacock that had fucking giant needles for feathers or whatever.
Yeah.
Like, it was just weirdo art. Who knows? It might have been bocce ball, but I doubt it.
Yeah.
I know they clang like thunder.
They did. So they all hit the ground. They start rolling over to where the witch lady is. And it wakes her up. And her voice is like, I knew someone's there. It's like, yeah. And she's like, oh, you're the American girl. I knew you would come. And, yeah, she's like, you've come to kill me, huh? And the American chick, I guess, what weapon does she grab? Does she have...
grabs one of the needles from the turkey she knocked over or whatever the fuck that was.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure it was a whatchamacallit.
And she goes over to the curtain and she whips it open, but no one's there. And then the witch lady is laughing and she's like, what are you gonna do now? And she just keeps laughing and shit. And then eventually the witch lady is like, she's like, you see that? That's hell lies behind that door. And Susie looks, and there's a door that looks like it's shaped like a coffin. I'm pretty sure it was a coffin even, because when it opens up, I don't think there's any room behind it. I think it was just a coffin that the people's in. But she's like, there's a hell behind there, and you'll meet death or whatever, or you might meet the living dead. And then, like I said, a legitimately creepy shot, I think, where like the hand comes out and it grabs it and then it flings it open, and Sarah, who I guess has been reanimated somehow, is a zombie now. And did it look like they did something to her eyes? Yeah. And she's got blood dripping from her mouth, and she's got like a needle in her hand, and she's like, and it was a creepy visual. And yeah, and like I was like, oh, a zombie. But then immediately, Susie turns around, and I guess the lightning is illuminating where the witch lady has gone invisible. So Susie just takes the needle and is like, ah. And then the witch lady's like, ah. And she just falls over, we finally see her like where her skin and she's all nasty looking and shit. And I guess this kills the zombie girl too because you don't see her after that. I don't. Was there a scene of her falling down? I didn't see it.
The witch's magic,
Yeah.
must have ended.
So everything starts crumbling. Susie starts to make a break for it as she's leaving. She looks in the room where all the witches are, and they're like bleeding and they're falling down. Also, the Romanian dude was one of them. He was like falling, bleeding and stuff. So like, it makes me like, I wonder if all those people were just like a victim of that lady's magic or something. Like they were
Maybe.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
They're all good people.
Maybe, yeah, maybe that's the. But she is able to get out of the academy. It didn't really look like she made a real hard attempt to get out. It was the most lazy run I've ever seen in my life to get out of this place. But then as soon as she gets out of the place, it bursts into flames, and then credits immediately start rolling. Like not a second went by of that thing bursting into flames. I miss old 70s movies endings like that where it would just happen and then credits. Like it was pretty good. And that was the end of Suspiria. So there you go.
You missed the part where she comes out and it's like raining, and then it bursts into flames, and then she gets this wicked smile.
I didn't see that.
Yeah, the very, very end, she just gets this like crazy, like happy smile. I don't understand it at all. I guess it's relief.
Maybe, these movies like this always like to add someone smiling at the end. Like, yeah, I don't know. I couldn't find a budget for this movie, but I did see that the box office for this, Tyler. So it gave me two box offices, and one it made $1.8 million in North American rentals. Okay. And then it made $1.43 billion in Italy in Italian money. So I don't know how much that translates to American, But I would imagine that has to be pretty good for Italy, though, right? Like 1.43 billion still sounds like a lot.
Unless it's like Vietnam money, where it's like 1,000 or nothing or whatever.
Yeah.
Oh, hold on. Okay, whatever. Oh yeah, see, this is a fucking big ass story, but it's like Susie Bannion is put through the ringer in Dario's Argento's 1977 horror classic. Why in the end is she so happy about it? So yeah, like there's a whole thing about the. Oh god, it's so many pages. Y'all look that up if you want to know why.
All right. So in U.S. dollars, as of right now. Well, I guess it would still be back then too. It's just how money works. It made $554,000 US at the box office. Jesus Christ! So $1 billion in Italian. It is only not even a million here. We could go be billionaires in Italy.
Man, we have missed so much stuff in this movie.
Oh yeah.
Apparently, when Susie exits Freiburg Airport, as with the guileless real estate agent Hutter walking over the bridge in the land of vampires in 1922's Nosferatu, A Symphony of Horror, Susie crosses a secret border between realities.
When the fuck did that happen?
Right?
They're just writing shit now. They're just like, she's in a different reality. It's like they never showed that.
But I think they're right, because it's like when the guy crossed the bridge, they do a close-up on the bridge in Nosferatu. But in this one, I don't know if you noticed it when you watched it, but when she came out of the airport, they zoomed in on the door.
Yeah.
The airport closing and opening.
And they show like the mechanics of it too.
Yeah. And that's supposed to be the bridge to the mystical land. Like this dude had all the symbolism, but
also, can I say why in like a movie like this, why did she find it in her for her to go, and she has to figure out what the secret and like fight the witches and shit. Like she has no attachment to. I guess her friend was killed, but they only knew each other for like 3 days, and it's like why did in movies like this people just never leave, and are like, I'm gonna go back to the U.S. This isn't working out. You know what I mean? Now I don't know if she could have made it out, but that seems like a good thing to try. But they never do.
So apparently, the smile at the end is one of two things. One, it's the witch taking over her body.
Uh-huh.
Or two, it's a realization that it all is a dream, and she's gonna wake up, and everything's gonna be okay.
Both of those are gay. Um, yeah, I don't know. Like I said, I thought the movie was all right. None of it makes sense. But
Supposedly, this is the first elevated horror ever.
God damn it, Tyler.
That's what it said. That's what it said in the article.
You know, fit this in everywhere.
That's what it said.
I don't think so. I would say Rosemary's Baby is elevated horror. I mean, that was like 68 or something.
I don't know. We'll have to watch Rosemary's Baby next.
I don't want to. I don't want to watch that movie ever again. It's so long, Tyler. It might not even be that long. But I seem to remember it's like 2 hours and 45 minutes. And it is not good. It is just boring.
Okay. Well,
we can watch The Omen too, though.
But I haven't watched the first one yet.
I watched the first one.
So.
Anyway. All right, well, let's do best of, worst of for Suspiria. My best of, and I'll say it different because I have a feeling, I mean, I know what your best of will be. So my best of will be the zombie girl in the coffin. I thought it was cool. So I like that. My worst of, I'll say that 3-minute scene of her walking down the hallway that she discussed. It just went on. It just kept, to the point that I was like, I looked down at my phone and wrote a note, and I was like, are we still going? Is it like she's still walking down this hallway? So yeah, if it's not that, it's just that like none of the acting was good in this movie. But like I said, that could be the fact that, you know, people were acting, but then other people dubbed over it. And you know, I hate dubs. Like anything like Japanese or Korean or anything, I hate. Like I can't. People who watch Squid Games dubbed. That's not it. Dubbed. I'm like, how did you do it? Like, yeah. So I'm not a big fan of dubs. I don't get a lot of dubs either. I eat a lot of L's over here. But anyway, what's your best of and worst of, Tyler?
All the L's.
Yeah.
Man, it's so hard.
And LBs, am I right?
Full disclosure, I had food poisoning this morning and didn't even go to work, and I never not
peeing out your butt.
And so I watched this movie, and I was still not in like the best frame of mind.
Uh-huh.
That being said, man, none of this was good. The worst part of this movie, when you're watching elevated horror, everything means something, right?
Yeah.
This movie has 70% of the cast means nothing. They're insequential. You don't know what happens to them. They just vanish. They introduce people, never tell you what happened.
Thinking back on it, it's really weird that guy never came back to play in any way. Like, I mean, it never ended up being like he was a bad guy or anything.
It's just, everything is just dumb. And that's the worst part of this movie is all, you know, sometimes if you have a couple questions left, you know, it's cool. We talk about it at the bar, you know, we have conversation here and make the podcast a little bit more interesting. But in this, it's like, if they didn't put in the work, why the fuck am I? If you can't flesh out your characters, I'm not going to do it for you.
Yeah.
You didn't give me enough. The dude stood up above a curtain.
He did.
And he did jazz hands on the way down. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
also, that was a tough. Was he stand on something? I like to imagine someone was lifting his legs.
It's just, it had all these questions. The best part of this is all the visual stuff. And even then, it's so dated that you can't really hold it out.
That beginning scene of her where they're in the cab and they're driving to the play, all the colors, every time yeah. And there's like, they're talking, and then when they pass like a street light, you can see her face in the windshield as they're, you know. So, yeah, the colors are cool.
Like, But that's the only. I mean, I thought the music was. I
I like the
don't.
music.
I might have to watch it in like an original
I
Italian
don't
version.
know. I don't know who that band is.
It's from the
Goblin.
70s. Oh,
Yeah,
no clue.
Goblin, and then I want to say the director also did the music as well, but he worked with Goblin, the band, which I know. I know there's a band nowadays. It's like the Goblins or something. It's like a metal band, but it's kind of like a comedy metal band, and they dress up as goblins. I think they might even be little people. They might not be though. Don't quote me on that. But
I don't even know. But so we watched Valerie, and I don't know what I gave Valerie. I don't know if you remember off the top of your head
you didn't give it a score.
because I didn't
You
understand it.
didn't.
Right?
Yeah, you didn't understand it.
And if you all ever watch Valerie, it is a fucking. It is just insanity. The timeline's all jacked. Everything's weird about it.
It is. Yeah, it seems like they kill Valerie like 4 times, but she never is. Like,
But like this seems like they're trying to tell you a story. It's just a really shit story. Like Valerie, I know I didn't understand. This, I'm just like, no, thank you.
yeah.
Like Valerie had like subtext of like puberty and all this other stuff. This had nothing. This was just bad. So I don't know. Maybe
Boom,
I'll watch
roast.
it again in Italian. Is this guy still alive? Giovanni, whatever his name is.
David Argento.
Yeah.
I don't imagine. This
See the guy who makes
seems.
the cheese, the Sargento cheese.
Yeah. This seems like one of them dudes who like lived his life just doing copious amounts of drugs and died young. Oh, still alive. Never mind. 81 years young.
All right. Well, if I ever see him at the airport or something, you better watch the fuck out. So much this
Ooh.
movie. You know what? At the beginning of this movie, I sent you a text and I said, it's only 73 minutes long or something, or 92
Yeah.
minutes long. And I knew at that moment that I jinxed myself.
Yeah.
This was going to be the hardest 90 minutes of my life to watch.
Also, his name is Dario, not David. He made a movie this year called Dark Glasses, and I clicked on it, Tyler. And funny enough, the thing on Google says horror slash giallo. So, yeah.
You mean Chalo?
No,
All right. Well, I know we're watching next week then.
no. Well, I know what we're on the next. uh, yeah. So yeah, what was your best of? You didn't do a best of.
I just had the visuals,
Oh
the
yeah,
colors
yeah.
and stuff.
And then worst of was
I'm gonna
just
be honest. If I'm gonna be honest, my favorite part of this whole thing was the fact that Olga lady was so hot, and I wish I knew more about her and everything. I'm gonna look her up. Like when we're done. I mean, she's got to be 90 now, right?
yeah.
But like that lady seemed like a star. Why she wasn't the main character, I'll never know. But it's just my opinion.
That's all.
She didn't do that. That was the other lady.
They
That was
both did
Sarah.
it. Well, yeah,
That was
she did snake noises. The other
yeah.
girl
She
was
went.
doing.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
but
how dare you? That lady's probably dead now, and you're making fun of her.
well, if fucking Dario Argenta's still alive, they don't got no excuse. That's how life and death works, right?
Yeah.
um.
But
Yeah.
yeah, it's not a suggest for me. It's not a you know anything for me because it's so bad.
All right. Well, fucking
Olga. Oh, let's see how she
that's
looks
something to
nowadays.
say. I can't remember.
Her name is Barbara Magnolifi.
Shout out. She married?
Oh,
You could slide in there.
I'm looking. I'm trying to see if she has like a Twitter or something. She apparently is super famous.
Oh damn, Tyler! She got divorced in '83. She's single.
She got divorced the year I was born.
Shit.
I don't see her on Twitter.
Yeah. All right. Well, thanks for
She's on
listening
Facebook.
to us talk about Suspiria. Um, next week, Tyler, I know I said we were gonna do Midsummer, but I don't want to do that. Um, because we just watched Suspiria, and you already know my feelings on Midsummer, and that's a that movie's gonna. There's a lot of stuff to talk about in that movie. So we're gonna take a break. We're gonna do a Niffer movie this week, and then Midsummer will be next week, and we'll watch it. Okay. But this week, Tyler, I'm gonna pick a movie that I mentioned in my honorable mentions for top 10 favorite horror movies of all time. I don't know if that video will be out when this one comes out, but keep that in mind. But next week, Tyler, we're gonna watch The Evil Dead from 2013. So that's pretty cool.
The hell we are.
We're doing it, and then yeah, and then the week after that we'll do Midsummer. We'll finally watch that one. Plus, I think that, or we looked it up, yeah, and that guy has some movie coming out with Joaquin Phoenix. I don't think it's a horror movie though, if I remember right. So, yeah. Um, I had something to say. I think it was something to do with the Northman, but I can't remember what it was, Tyler.
If you don't know, I don't know.
I feel like it was something to do with Pops because me and him watched it,
Oh, they meant pop
but
figures.
I can't remember. I don't know. I finished Yakuza 6.
Hey,
I only have one more Yakuza game. Yakuza 6, fucking amazing. Great game. So, it was great too because that last Yakuza 5 was like 35 hours to beat it. This game I finished in like 17. It was great. Made me cry like a little bitch at the end. So shout out to Yakuza 6. Fuck, what was I gonna say, Tyler? I
I
don't
don't know.
know.
Some
I
of the
can't think.
pop from the Northman, right?
Yeah, I can't think of it. Um. Anyway, all right. Well, hey, next week, Evil Dead from 2032. Wait,
2032.
we're going to the future, bitch. From 2013. That's the not remake, not reboot. I don't know how to describe it because Ash isn't anywhere involved. It's kind of a different story. Um,
Same universe.
Same universe. There's theories of how like the Necronomicon can like use its power to kind of bring situations back to where they kind of been, but it's a whole weird thing. But
That's a
yeah,
real book, you know.
what's up?
The Necronomicon, it's a real book.
Necronomicon, yeah.
Yeah, you can order it online.
Well, they busted out. Probably they busted out in Jason Goes to Hell. Necronomicon's in that movie. Also, I don't. Did you watch that new Doctor Strange movie?
No, not yet.
They have this book in it that's like this evil book, and the whole time I was watching it, I was like, this dude just straight up is putting the Necronomicon like in the Marvel universe. Like it was totally supposed to be the Necronomicon, but they just weren't calling it that, you know. And it's Sam Raimi, so it makes sense, I guess. But this movie, Sam Raimi does not have any involvement in it, if I remember so. And I picked this one because it doesn't have anything to do with Ash, so we don't have to watch those three movies. This is kind of a standalone one, and it's just bloody, and it's a good one. So we'll watch that. After
Nice.
that, Midsummer. Northman, we recorded it. It is coming out at some point. It might, no, it won't be out by now. It'll be out next week sometime, I think. The second year anniversary is coming out. Link to the gaming channel in the description. Wrestling channels there too. Some shorts should be coming out. I just made some today. So yeah, Tyler.
Enjoy.
Tyler, you got
Bon
anything?
appetit.
Bon
Try
appetit.
that churro recipe I told you all about earlier.
Yeah, it's true. I'm gonna.
And keep an eye out for the new series we have coming.
Oh, yeah.
I talked
Um,
about that when you were
yeah.
gone about TV shows. Anyway,
Yeah. R.I.P. Ray Liotta. By the way, it's late. What was your favorite Ray Liotta role, Tyler?
uh, That movie he's in with Brad Pitt,
That's
where he
good.
just shoots him in the face.
I don't know if they shoot him,
Yeah,
but
it's
that
the
is a
one where
very good one.
he's the hitman. Brad Pitt's the
Yeah, I
hitman,
know.
and
I can't. Spoiler for we won't say what the movie is. They won't know.
they'll never know.
Yeah, but yeah,
I'll already
I know they kill him, but I just can't remember because they like send out two dudes to like kill him, and like Brad Pitt's like, because the dude's like I don't think he was involved, and Brad Pitt's like it doesn't matter, everyone else does, you know. So they're like you have to kill him and shit. Yeah, he was real good in that. That's a good one. I mean, the
Oh,
obvious one is Goodfellas, but
we might have stickers coming. I forgot
uh-huh,
about that.
yeah,
But until we know more, I'm not going to say
yeah,
much about it. So,
and
or
I
until
know,
we get them and see they're not
yeah,
shit.
I never played Vice City, so I can't talk about his role as what was the guy's name in Vice City? Did you ever play it?
No.
I didn't either. I haven't played. I've only played GTA 4 and GTA 5. Those are the only two I ever played. I didn't play San Andreas or any of those. I was too young at the time. I played a split second of Vice City at my older cousin's house because he had it, and I remember I got in, took out an AK-47 and like shot a policeman. And I remember being like, "This is so realistic." And now looking at the game, I'm like, "This is like blocks and squares." Like, yeah,
I had a buddy who used to jerk off the Tomb Raider, the original one.
yeah, like the triangle tits.
And yeah, and now look at it and you're like,
Yeah,
what?
there was a game as a kid. It was a James Bond game, and like the first level, you bust in and this chick's in the shower, and like that's like your first target or whatever. As a kid, it was like, whoa, you know. And I imagine if I went back and looked at it now, it would just be like, just blotchy, like it wouldn't look good at all. But you know, things you do when you're pausing the VCR.
Mm.
All right. Thanks for joining. See you next week for Evil Dead. And yeah, bye guys.
See ya.